Dominique, what's your takeaway from all this?
I mean, listening to Dana White talk is just like, so he's not going to fight. I can't buy the idea that this does not benefit the UFC in the long run if Conor comes back. Like the idea that they're not going to let Conor McGregor back into the ring. They let guys who use PEDs. They let other guys with criminal records. Like this seems to be a sport that is that thrives on stars and star power. And while this is terrible attention, it's not bad attention for a fighter to be acting like you would suspect a fighter is acting. So as much as reprehensible as we can say that this behavior is, I'm not sure that it's bad for the Conor McGregor brand, because it's not as if this is Tiger Woods we're talking about. Like breaking windows of cars, bad for the Tiger Woods brand. Breaking windows for cars, not necessarily bad for the Conor McGregor brand, although it's certainly not bad for the UFC, because anytime you get a little bit of ginned up support and attention to that sport, the numbers go up for their pay-per-views. So I think while it's unfortunate what happened and it's terrible and Conor McGregor should be punished for it, I think in the long run it's going to benefit both Conor McGregor and the UFC.
As we're talking about it, I feel like we're being played. You know, and
right.
I almost don't want to talk about it for that reason, because I agree with Dominique. I think this is his brand. You know, the reaction to this wasn't, wow, that's really dangerous. Wow, a piece of glass went into a man's eye. He could have been blinded. That's horrible. It was Conor McGregor's at it again. Boys will be boys. You know, this is his persona. He's out there. He's aggressive. He's brash. He does what he wants. That's his brand. This is in line with his brand. And the question of whether or not it's good for the UFC, where we're talking about the UFC for the first time in a while, the UFC is trending on our social media. We are paying attention to these fights that I don't believe anyone really cared about. So yeah, I do think he'll fight again, and it gives me pause to even talk about it.
Well, okay, I think you're both being a little too cynical. When I woke up this morning, I was in the same place you are. I was in the place of, look at all the attention this is bringing to a card that no one really was paying attention to outside of hardcore UFC fans. No one was talking about it on ESPN. Very few people were talking about it on major sports media outlets. And then all of a sudden, wow, it's the top story. It's everywhere. And that immediately triggers cynicism, right? The kind I think I hear from you guys. And you see the benefit. I mean, it's a little hard to overlook the fact that Dana White is on multiple shows this morning, on multiple networks, ready to go and ready to talk about this issue. That being said, that cynicism that I had, like you two, I got over it. And I got over it with the details of what went down last night. And the details do not look like a staged incident. Conor McGregor loads up a plane of 30 friends in Ireland, a private plane, flies over to Brooklyn because he sees an incident between a buddy of his, Artem, getting into it with Khabib, and goes to want to get some kind of, I don't know, revenge or respect or whatever his motivation might have been. It doesn't really matter in the end, because what he did is attack a bus full of fighters, and the injuries is what I think reveals it's not staged. It's not WWE.
No.
This is a guy, Kizma with facial lacerations, another Ray Borg with, I don't know the extent of how his eye is, reportedly cut or not, but these are not the kind of things that happen when you are cynically doing a WWE give me attention style plot. And in the end, you want to know what the real truth, this will be it, okay? You want the truth? This is how we'll know in the end. How heavily does Conor McGregor get sued? How heavily does he get sued by the UFC, by those fighters? Because he cost a lot of people a lot of money this weekend.
So there's two things, though. I don't think Mina or I either said it was staged. We said that they would benefit from it, but it still could be staged. They still could have said, hey, Conor, go off in the back, and he went a little too far. But I'm not arguing whether it's staged or not. I still think that it's something that they could benefit from. I don't think that
I got you.
And I agree. The lacerations and all that stuff, those are bad, and those seem that if it were a staged event, that I can guarantee you they didn't want it to go that far. At least the fighters who got cut did. But I agree with Mina. Like, it feels like we are getting played, and specifically when Dana White's on TV this morning saying, I'm not sure if Conor McGregor could ever fight for us again. Like, that's absurd. They switched complete sports. Dana White's also the one who said that women could never fight in the UFC. Then all of a sudden the money comes around, you figure out a way to get past these other preconceived notions you have. Oh, we could never fight Floyd Mayweather. We can't box this. It's a perversion of our sport if we treat it like that. All of a sudden the money comes around, you go to it. So Conor McGregor in the long run is going to benefit from this. Dana White's going to benefit from this. And the only people who lose is the guys who are taken off of this card right now.
And that's where my cynicism kicks in. I agree. I don't think it was staged well, or if it was, it went wildly beyond, the bounds of what they had originally planned.
Well, hold on, Mina, real quick.
My
Then, if you don't think
cynicism-
it's staged, what do you mean by we're getting played?
We're getting played insofar as if it wasn't staged, right now, the theater is open. Right now, what we saw just now from Dana White, oh, he might come back. I don't know. Oh, this is disgusting, but I am happy to exploit it, and we are going to benefit from it. That's where my cynicism kicks in. What happens next, I believe, is when we will see the UFC machine profiting from this.
Yeah, he's not going to let a tragedy go by and not capitalize on it. It seems to be the feeling that I get, and Mina and I agree on that, which means that, Will, you are absolutely wrong. If Mina and I both agree,
Well,
there's no chance that you could be right.